you are listening to the Footy Mailbag Podcast with Damo and Clarky.
Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. My name is Damo and Clarky's also here.
Hello.
Our guest this week is the always wonderful, always draw-mongering Patch. How you doing, mate?
Draw. I'm so excited that you've brought me on, and I'm so excited to see your wonderful faces and to talk about draws, our Lord and Savior. Do you have some time to talk about draws?
Clarky, do we tell him?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we probably should. We've actually brought you on to talk about Supercoach, something we think you might know about.
What's a super? I don't understand. Please explain.
Well, when
I'm sure you'll catch on.
Okay.
When you retired from Jock Reynolds, Supercoach continued to exist.
Ah, is that the thing I'm on the podcast for each week?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, cool. All right, All right, I'll try and stifle my draw-mongering, and we'll see how we go.
All right, we'll start with something simple for you. So, the rookies on the bubble this week are Bruce Reville and Lockie Sullivan. Those are probably the two most popular options. But other players on the bubble are Logan Morris, Carl Shadia, Jack Hayes is on the bubble. He's a little expensive at over 200k. Daniel Curtin as well with that elevated price tag. Jackson Archer with an elevated price tag as well. And then Kane McAuliffe is one of the only fit players at Richmond, so there's a chance that he returns and he's on the bubble as well. And there's a chance we see Charlie Dean play a third game at Collingwood this week with the way their injury list is shaping up. So I said at the top there that Bruce Reville and Lockie Sullivan are probably the two most popular options. And for a lot of people, it's one or the other. Patch, which way have you landed on this for these two guys?
I've gone with Sullivan. I initially was thinking that his job security isn't as good. All of the Lions' injuries seem to be more long term, and Reville's just neat. I just think he's neat. He's got a good kick on him. Does some neat stuff. But I just am worried about his time on ground. It's real low. It's real not crash hot, not cash money. And Lockie Sullivan's got that bigger tank. He's got, I don't know, more versatility, I think, for a bunch of different roles at the Pies. And they seem to like the cut of his jib. So at this stage, Sullivan.
Clarky, where have you landed on this?
Currently, I've got Bruce. Only because the Lions are playing Richmond this week. So I think even with low time on ground, he can sort of capitalize on a couple of really good scores and make cash at his literally bottom of the barrel price. But Patch brings up some really good points about Lockie Sullivan, and I might have to reconsider, but I also think he's neat.
I mean, he's got fantastic hair. Like,
Absolutely.
his hair is not a non-zero factor here.
He looks like a long-lost member of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, he does. Also, his name's Bruce. What's that? It's just fun to say. Bruce.
There's surely a September joke that we can make here. That's football related.
Well, the way Brisbane's going, who knows if they're going to be there on the 21st night of September. But
There it is. Thanks, David.
I'm currently going with Bruce Reville just because there's no one on Brisbane's injury list that I think can come in and displace him anytime soon. But his low time on ground does worry me a little bit. But it's just a matter of, do we think Sullivan stays in the side once Collingwood gets some of their cavalry back? And that's probably the biggest question I have over going for Sullivan instead of Reville, whereas I think Reville probably stays in the team a little bit longer because McCarthy has gone down. Starcevich is still 4 to 5 weeks away. There's no Darcy Gardner. They've got all these players out long term. So Collingwood's injury list means that players are more likely to return and potentially push Lockie Sullivan into a sub role potentially. potentially. I said that like 4 times in that sentence. So I've gone for Bruce just on that. And also Brisbane, as Clarky said, have Richmond this week, but then follow that up with Hawks and then the Western Bulldogs. So Bruce Reville currently, but I could change my mind if a Collingwood person tells me that Sullivan's going to stay in the team for 4 to 6 weeks, or at least until Collingwood has their bye.
I mean, ironically, I think Logan Morris has the best job security of the two of, like, out of the three of them. He's got better job security than both of them because he's like in that Gardner role up forward, but he's scoring 37 and then 30. And he's not having enough Maccas pre-game.
More frappes, I say.
More nuggets on the side. So yeah, I'm going for Bruce. Clarky, you said Bruce, but Patch, you're out there on your lonesome with Sullivan at the moment. But like we all said, that could change with a bit more information. Players who will be on the bubble next week if they play their second game will be Joel Fraser at the Bulldogs, Josh Sin at Port Adelaide, Joe Richards at Collingwood. He was good with his first up effort, but you don't play West Coast every week. And then Port Adelaide had Dante Vicentini, who came in because Jordan Sweet was ill. So Dante Vicentini, 143k, 75 against a virtually ruckless Geelong. Does Jordan Sweet return? Is that a given? Are we worried about that potentially not happening?
I'm not worried as much as I feel like I should be. I don't think Vicentini had an outrageously good game to say, oh, I should be playing instead of Sweet. I think as far as the eye test went, he did have a few moments that were like, okay, like you're still fresh. Like you probably need a bit more experience, maybe a little bit time comparatively to Sweet. I feel like Sweet, all things being well, with his illness, should just come straight back in to give Port that full-blown rock action. Patch, what do you think?
I mean, I think the Vicentini family have nailed the naming of their kids. Dante and Vigo are great. From a football perspective, I don't know. He was real good. Port fans seem really keen on him. Maybe they play both. But yeah, as you said, Damo, he was playing kind of a ruckless Geelong where they subbed Stanley out at halftime, and Blitzarves was kind of doing a bit part role in the ruck, which he's very good at, but he's still not. He's not a number one recognised ruckman. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what they do. I'm not overly worried. I think anyone with Sweet at R2 would be worried.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, it was actually before halftime. It was after 40 minutes that they subbed out Reece Stanley, and it wasn't even because of an injury. Like they stuffed up team selection if that's how quickly they want to make that sub, and then Geelong still lost, so we can still laugh at them.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think that's good coaching. They were getting absolutely walloped. They were just getting completely pantsed. Port were too fast for them. And, whenever you're down, you want your coach to flip the magnets and do something to change it. And they did, and they got back into the game, which I think that's good coaching. And they nearly won it.
They did. I mean, there's also no secret that Chris Scott doesn't like ruckman.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got a rookie ruck. You're backing your ruckman to dominate him. Wasn't happening. Vicentini was, neutralizing it at best, winning it at worst. From a Geelong perspective, you change it up, and that's I don't know. I think that's kind of like brave from Scott to just go, nah, we're changing it up. We're subbing him out. We're trying to run him back. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was all right, as much as it's very easy to laugh and fun too. But I don't know. I thought it was all right.
It's very good because I think there's really 3 types of coaches, right? And there's the ones who just have complete faith in their game strategy in the face of adversity, which sucks if you support that team. Yeah, absolutely. Then you've got the Chris Scotts, who I think are quite good at being reactive, as you said, Patch. Sort of going, right, well, this isn't working. I'm going to call it to give ourselves the best shot. And then you've got what I like to call precogs, which are Bevo.
He gets his own category.
Yeah, he sits in his little bathtub of goo or whatever, and then goes, yes, Caleb Daniel to the VFL, please.
He's
This
got like
will
rubber
work.
ducks, but they're rubber ducks that are like also like little babushka dolls. Or...
It's very funny to make a Minority Report reference in 2024, not only because of its age, but also because I don't think I've seen it. I have a vibe of it.
Very edgy and cool, sir.
Yeah.
What was the question, Damo? You're asking about
Damo.
Dante Vicentini.
I mean, we it started off talking about whether Jordan Sweet would return to the Port Adelaide side, and I think,
probably.
And I think the response was a very strong maybe.
Yeah, a really emphatic maybe. It's like who comes out for Sweet? I think logically Vicentini's the one that comes out. Are you dropping?
But I mean, Charlie Dixon was subbed out. I don't know if that was tactically or not, but maybe Port Adelaide up against the Hawks this week might decide that it's Jordan Sweet that comes in for Dixon, and Vicentini plays more of a forward role because
if they manage Dixon against Hawthorn, tip Hawthorn. I'll tell you for free. I think I agree, Dan. I think it logically makes sense for Sweet to come back in, but I don't think coaches should panic unless you have Sweet at R2, which in the first place you should have been like this. You needed an exit strategy before you even did that. But those of us with him at R3, I think regardless of the outcome, R3 is kind of a bit of a dead spot. So, swing Livingston back in there if you need to in a week or two when the timeline runs out for Soldo to return.
Agreed. Patch, let's go shopping.
Hello, I love shopping.
So premiums that have bottomed out are Lockie Neal, Christian Petrarca, Zach Butters. Even though he's over 600k, he's still bottomed out as far as he's going to go. Jack Steele, Rowan Marshall, Jeremy McGovern, Clayton Oliver, and Dayne Zorko.
Boo.
Much to the dismay of Clarky and Patch. Who are you picking out of that bunch, Patch?
Personally, I'm picking Zorko. Please don't boo me, Clarky.
Boo.
No, I've been booed.
It's okay. He booed me when I brought in Zorko a few weeks ago.
Boo.
Look, I don't blame you. I mean, and like, I know that, like, I hate it. I hate that I'm bringing him in. Like, we're going to get burned. It's just a bad place to be, but, like, you can't deny his form. And Damo, you've had him for a few weeks, so you can speak about how nice it is to have him most weeks. Not the first week you had him, but most weeks. So I think he's the one that, especially, in a forward line where it's becoming clear that we've got 4 of them definitely that were locked into your top 6, and Luke Jackson is probably also there by virtue of most people having him already and just not being worse than anyone else on the list. And I think it's just like, well, this is as cheap as he gets, has a really good run coming up where he's not going to get much attention. I think this is the time you get Zorko. And in the, like, from a midfield perspective, if you're not wanting to get rid of a forward or upgrading the forward lines, I really like trying to go as big as possible, and that's getting your Zach Butters. And around that price, you've got Zach Merritt and Bonts about the mark as well. So if I'm going shopping in the midfield, I'm paying up, because we've seen this year that kind of the bargain hunting hasn't quite worked for people.
So just to bring people in, when I brought in Dayne Zorko, he dropped a wonderful 56 because that was the week that they Brisbane got absolutely thumped by the Giants. So that was making me regret bringing in Zorko in straight away. Do you remember when we called Zorko the Magnificent? That didn't last very long, did it?
I think it lasted like 5 years.
Back when he was likable, yeah, sure.
I don't think he was ever likable, but he was magnificent. Oh, my gum.
I like Lockie Neal out of that mix. I think with Brisbane's run over the next 3 especially, he's the one I'm bringing in just because I already have Zorko. Clarky, who do you like from that list that I read out?
Let's look.
I mean, aside from your Melbourne players, we know you're like your Melbourne players, but
I
who
just
else?
I just still think Clayton Oliver represents excellent value in terms of. We spoke about this with Tom from a couple episodes ago. At his price, to have a guy who is currently probably averaging between like 80 and 95, but has the capacity to go 140, is kind of a bargain at that price. I believe he's still sub 500. So very easy jump off point if you're struggling for cash and say we've had the teams announced for Thursday game and Will Graham is not playing. So if you want to just jump off that ship, yep, good boo patch. If you want to jump off that ship, it's only like 150k to get to Clayton, and that just makes sense to me.
What do you think he averages from here to the end of the season?
Can I answer
give
this?
me a number. Yeah,
I
like answers from both of you.
I think he averages 105.
Okay, Clarky, what do you think?
98 probably feels okay for me.
Do you want to trade in a guy that's going to average 98 from here on out?
I do, if he's going to have those spike games, right? Like if that's the floor, like we're talking, like that's the median, that's perfectly acceptable at M8 or even on your bench at that price. If you don't like this, we're talking a situation as well where like someone like me, I don't have the cash for Butters. I'd love to get Butters, but Butters is over 600k, right? That's like top shelf loaf of bread. That's like a tip top, like a Wonder Bread. When
like a trip to Baker's Delight.
Oh, absolutely, that high fiber, low GI loaf. Oh. It's that good. Clayton Oliver is like Coles Bakery, where you can go in and there's a good quality loaf that's gonna last the week.
No name bread, but like he's not one of those fancy loaves.
And you don't have to boo nearly half as much.
Those cheese and bacon rolls from the Coles Bakery, they are nice.
There you go. Clayton Oliver's a cheese and bacon roll. Jack Billings, is a laser printer. I think we should also be like...
Which is a type of bread for this classification.
Yeah. Well, they're just things that exist, right? And that's our favorite type of player here at Footy Mailbag. Players that exist. We should quietly probably mention Jeremy McGovern just doing it. He's just doing it. And I don't think enough people are sort of going, hang on a second.
Well, just doing it also involves a trip to hospital, which happened on the weekend.
It's happened several times.
It happens a lot, and it's that like same principle as I had with Elliot Yeo, and the same principle I had with Dayne Zorko until I decided it was silly and he's scoring too many points. But like he's going to get injured at some point, and you're going to have to deal with it, and you just kind of pray that it's not a really bad one, or you pray that rather it just doesn't happen at the start of a game and happens midweek or at the end of a game, or they decide that he's just going to get rested or whatever. But like he will get injured at some point, and you got to decide if that's worth the risk at 519k or 566k for Zorko, or for whatever Yo is these days, $700 billion. I don't know. Like McGovern's very good, but also he is a risk on the injury front.
Yeah, he's already subject to fitness test for this week, but once again, he's just doing it in the same way that Dayne Zorko could score 200 points against Richmond, or both of his calves could explode.
Or both.
So, I mean, Brisbane have Richmond, Hawthorn, Western Bulldogs for their next three. Christian, Petrarca, Clayton Oliver. Melbourne have West Coast, St Kilda, Freo for their next three. And a lot of the reasons for bringing in these players are their run over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Zorko having St Kilda in round 14 is especially tasty, considering they just let defenders do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's no wrong answers, which is the greatest thing about Supercoach. But,
well, there's a wrong answer, but we won't know until 4 weeks from now which one it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no,
or it'll feel like a wrong answer about 5 minutes after a game finishes.
Or starts.
Trading in Machito Owens is probably not recommended, but calling him a primo is wrong. But it's not. But there's no wrong answers. I don't know if that actually works in this scenario. Let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Premiums that we might be able to look at in the next few weeks because they've got high break evens, so their prices are coming down. Matt
Yeah.
Rowell, Noah Anderson, Max Gawn, although Max Gawn could possibly reach his break even against West Coast, who knows? Harry Sheasel, Dan Houston, Tom Green, Lockie Whitfield, and Zach Merritt. Although, again, Zach Merritt could reach his break even in one of his next few games.
137 against North Melbourne.
So many of those primos. That's so upsetting. I have so many of them that are.
But I don't think most of the ones on that list are guys you like. We're looking at them in this segment because they're good, and it's just they've just had one thing that's causing their price to go down, or maybe two things, maybe a few things. But anyway,
I swear to God, if Bevo tags Lockie Whitfield this week, I will fucking riot. Sorry, Damo. Am I allowed to use a cuss?
I'm allowing it.
Okay, cool. I get one.
Yes, it's PG-13. We get one F word per episode, and you've used it on Bevo, which is the right place to use it.
I saved it. See, and we just talked about Dayne Zorko, so I saved it.
You did. You were very good, Clarky.
So Harry Sheasel, let's talk about him. Colby McKercher is out with a foot injury, so we could see Sheasel returning to his half back role, which is very lucrative for his scoring chances.
Sorry, I'm going to provide context for my booing. I traded Harry Sheasel to Colby McKercher because I thought it was a big brain idea that McKercher had been moved to the back line. Sheasel had been moved into the midfield and half forward. Sheasel was being bad. McKercher was being good. I thought that if they stick with it for like 4 weeks, then McKercher makes a bunch of money. Sheasel loses a bunch of money. I get a jump on the rest of the top 500 and who's all have Sheasel. And then I like big brain plays.
Big brain or smooth brain?
It can be big and smooth. It can be two things. But like Sheasel's been underperforming. That's why he has the big break even. He's averaging like 89 over his last 3.
Big break even or smooth break even?
Pourquoi ne l'audace? So like him in a mid forward role is bad for scoring. And I think it's better for North Melbourne long term. And I think Clarko is pretty determined to stick at it for a little while. But McKercher going down does present a hole. And it's probably not going to be filled by like Riley Hardiman or like anyone in the VFL. So
or Zach Fisher, the new halfback North Melbourne Jesus.
He now in Pog form. Like, yeah, my concern is that Sheasel could make his break even at 168 this week, which would be bad for me. But good for anyone that still got him, and good for anyone looking to buy a defender that's named Harry Sheasel. Anyway, so that was self-indulgent, but anyway, that's my thoughts on Harry Sheasel. There's a lot of emotions involved.
You covered off all the good about Harry Sheasel, and someone we should absolutely be watching if that role comes back to him. If Patch is having his moment, Damo, I want my moment. In the spirit of can I have one? Dan Houston, ever since I said he was consistent, bad.
Yep, that's because you said he was consistent, and then Tim Mitchell traded him in.
Oh, it was Tim's fault.
No, it's Ken Hinckley's fault.
Even when I knew it was Tim, I knew it was Ken Hinkley.
So Ryan Burton coming into the side has actually tweaked Dan Houston's role ever so slightly. So Houston's not taking the majority of kick-ins anymore.
Boo.
And his disposal efficiency over the last couple of weeks has gone from an average of about 90% to an average of about 75%.
Boo, I say. How could Ryan Burton do this?
So, yes, that is all because of Ryan Burton coming in to the Port Adelaide team. I think Dan Houston will come good, though. There wasn't anything that I saw in the Geelong game on the weekend to concern me about his role or his scoring opportunities. It's just he's just not quite hitting targets at the moment. So he'll be fine. He'll be fine when he comes down in price. People should absolutely jump on because he's going to be fine. That's what I'm telling myself anyway.
Matt Rowell, I'm very interested in that
Yes.
list. 192 has had 2 below average weeks on weeks that people thought he'd really be pumping out big scores. That price is going to go way down. I think he's going to be one of the top 8 midfielders from here on out, and one of the top 8 midfielders for next couple of years. Big thumbs up, big excitement.
And just a little sneaky preview for one of our closing segments. I think Matt Rowell is a sneaky vice captain option this week.
Ooh.
For those who do have him.
Boo.
Let's get to the listener questions. So on Thursday mornings, we will release our traffic lights. And so on this podcast and on the traffic lights, when we talk about some players, we may not always give them a green, yellow, or red rating. Green indicates a good pick. Yellow is a watch or a hold. And red is a trade or avoid.
Boo. Red is a boo.
Red is a boo. A player could earn their rating for several reasons, including but not limited to scoring potential, job security, price point, reliability, or injury status.
The Footy Mailbag accepts no responsibility for injury status that may occur.
I did like the cadence of your voice and the look on your face when you said, yes, Patch, red is a boo, was exactly the I can't remember the guy's name. I can never remember it. Like, yes, Mr. Finkman, everything stinks from The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's just the psychiatrist.
It's just that. It's just, yes, everything stinks.
Yes, Patch, it's a draw.
All right. First question comes from Patch. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Thanks for putting your question in, Patch. Do you come with the car?
Yes. Oh,
sure.
you.
I'll come
Sure.
with
The car doesn't work. Doesn't have any doors. I only got one wheel. But sure, I'll come with the car.
Do you come with the car?
Oh, you.
The next 2 questions come from our Google form, which you can access
Yay.
from our website. Just for the people that did submit these questions, your name was not on the question. So if you do want to have your question attributed to you, you will need to leave your details in the form. Otherwise, we will just answer it blindly, not to any particular person.
We'll have to open because sometimes you don't want to feel stupid for asking a question. And sometimes you're on a podcast and have to ask the stupid question.
I was going to say, can we just bully people that don't provide names? But that is a valid point that no, perhaps I shouldn't be here not encouraging people to.
We haven't decided if we wanted to be hostile to the anonymous listeners yet.
Can
so
we
could
boo
call
them?
them cowards.
Can we boo them? I like booing.
No, I think we should be nice. I think we should be nice to these people.
If it's a bad question, we'll boo them.
Okay. The first question is asking, did we see enough from Oliver to grab him this week if we didn't last week?
That's a good question. No,
it is. I was excited for a bad question and because I wanted to boo it, but this is a valid and good question.
I saw enough. I'd actually seen enough of the entire game after the first quarter and being there in attendance. I took my glasses off and I was ready to leave the MCG. But I think generally, Clayton Oliver, we know, has the role. The issue that he's been having is probably his disposal efficiency. He's been battling, his hand and the lack of preseason. These are all things that we've sort of discussed in previous episodes. He's at a bargain price. If it's something that you're willing to jump on now, my take is going to be, like I said earlier in the show, if you have a guy at M8 or even on your bench that you bought for under 500,000 who has the ability to go massive triple figures, is that a bad thing? I think really, if your team's in a fortunate position that you don't need to make any massive swings, it's something good to have in the pocket.
I didn't see anything bad with his performance against Carlton. I just think Carlton have a stronger midfield than Melbourne at present time.
Damo.
But I mean, they come up against some probably fairly thin midfields over the next little while. Did I see enough to grab him? Did I see enough to put him at the top of my shopping list? Probably not at the top of my shopping list, but did I see enough to grab him at his price? If that's all you can afford, yes, I think I did. I think the role was there. He was around the contest enough. He gave away a few silly free kicks. He wasn't totally hitting targets the way he should. He's still not really kicking it, but
Kick it. Kick the thing. Not
If-
there. Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I saw enough to grab him this week. For those who didn't last week,
I didn't, to play devil's avocado. I
Okay.
just like
speak
You
to
didn't
me,
see enough,
Patch.
or you
Beloved
didn't?
What didn't you see? What
I
do you want to see from Oliver?
I want to see Clayton Oliver's heat map look like it did in the good old days, and this is this is all Lekdog. This is pure Lekdog speaking through me as his vessel. But like his heat maps have looked all wonky this year, man. They're just all out of whack. It's like a bit of bread that's like got like funny mold on it instead of like a big loaf of like big clump of mold in the middle. Where like his heat maps in his good years are just a big target in the middle of the ground. And his heat maps this year have kind of been all over, like along the wing and kind of like half forward and like dinky and weird and misshapen. And until I see like a, like a consistent bit of heat map where he's all in the middle and all of his and his points are going back up, I think I'm going to wait until then to jump on. But like that said, if all you can afford is the moldy bread, then you can go get that bread, fam. Like that, if that's all you can do. I don't think he's a terrible pick, but I just think if we can reach to the top shelf and get like the loaf of bread that's got like the fancy like swirls cut into it, I think we should be reaching up rather than trying to find the value that I'm not convinced is there yet.
We've made players lots of different items in this podcast, and I don't know how to feel about it. It sounds like we're almost putting together
It's the bread edition.
like a Kmart shopping trolley.
Well, what you see here, Damo, football is a lot like a pantry. And you need to have items
Clarky?
that... Yes, sir.
I think I want to stop you right there.
I want him to keep going. Can he keep going?
Next question.
Let's
Let's reach into that pantry and grab a question.
I've been defeated.
I hope everyone's enjoying
Next
my last
question that's come
on the
through.
mailbag.
Next question that's come through on the Google form, name not provided,
Thank you for your question,
says, new site is dope. Thanks for checking it out. Are you good at selecting captains? What is your process? It feels like I'm leaving points on the table.
Patch, do you have any captain advice?
Vibe it, baby. Bad advice, don't do it. But like that's how I pick my captains.
So our good friends at Third Man Up, they have a really good process, which I've kind of adopted for myself, which is their last 3 scores of the player in the season, the last 3 scores from that player at that venue, and the last 3 scores from that player against that opponent that week. And they consider all of that together before they decide who their top 3 vice captain options are or their top 3 captain options are. And their vice captain is usually someone playing early in the round with a very high ceiling that has major upside. And then their captain is someone who is pretty reliable 9 times out of 10 to give you a captain's score. Now, there's a bit of debate what a captain's score is. Previously, they would be 120, but I think it's gone up to 125 for most people, just because scoring has changed slightly in terms of more players are scoring more. The good players are scoring a little better than usual. But yeah, so I think put all of that in, research all of that if you can, and then go with what looks best out of that research for the players in your team.
I'm also in the vibe train. And if we want to shout out someone else who does great work, though, Pig Mentality from Dr. Supercoach.
No, Pig Mentality is so smart.
Yeah,
I wish I was that smart.
He puts out a captain's video every week. And as always here at the Footy Mailbag, we encourage you to go and support many of the wonderful content creators that are out there, because we all do this because we love the game and we all have very different perspectives. Damo is holding up his Supercoach swordplay beanie.
Yes,
which you can go
actually,
get.
while we're talking about Supercoach swordplay, quick shout out to DR.
Yes.
He's been going through it. He's back on the tools this week. Good to see him and his family back and well again. He is a pillar of the community, and we missed him.
He genuinely might be the nicest man in all of Supercoach, surpassing Patch.
Oh, I'm a jerk. Love DR. So much love for DR. Shout out to him.
So beautiful. So yeah, absolutely go and support those guys. But yeah, Pig Mentality from DRC does do a captain's video every week that I quite like listening to back up my own research. There's so many great opinions out there on how to pick a captain and who to pick. But, Damo put it best. I think the best way to do it is to kind of find someone who you're happy consistently scores to that 110 to 125 range. Put your C on them later in the round, because that's a range where, if things don't go well and you end up with a 110, you can kind of accept that and it's not going to set you too far back. But generally you'll be able to get that sort of 125 plus score, and then use your VC on your high ceiling guys. So your Nick Dacos's, your Sarongs, your Merits. Look for the matchups, right? Like if like this week we're at the Brisbane Richmond game, perfect options for VCs in that game, or even Cs. If I can remember when it's meant to be happening. I think it's Saturday night, isn't it? So yeah, Saturday night VC is not too bad if you've got a loop for, say, West Coast or even like a North Melbourne Hawthorn type. So things like that all come into it. So no one's going to get it right every week as well. So don't feel like you should punish yourself for not hitting the captains. Captains is the most random part of all the Supercoach.
Good question.
No boo for you.
No boo for you. Well done.
And we will get Pig Mentality on the mailbag at some point for those wondering there. Next question comes from Luke on Facebook. Thanks for your question, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you,
Should
Luke.
I use my last boost? His trade would be Fife, Roberts, and Dempsey to Livingston, Petrarca, and Rankin or more. He brought in Jackson last week to cover Sweet. Bring in Livingston gives him the DPP to use both.
That's smart.
Yeah, that sounds like a good trade for my money.
And I'd probably go for Isaac Rankin.
I would also go for Isaac Rankin. So
yeah,
my official answer is boost.
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 Had him in the first half. Thanks, Luke.
So yeah,
Thank you, Luke.
good,
Well done.
good question. Thanks for that one.
No boost, but one boost.
Louis or Lewis on Facebook. I don't know whether it's a Louis or a Lewis. Are Harley Reid and Nat Fife done?
It could be a Lowis.
Patch, don't complicate it. Are Harley Reid and Nat Fife done?
My gut says kind of, if you can get them to better options. We know Harley Reid kind of has a license to operate throughout any part of the West Coast team. And West Coast are getting better. Like, they've shown some really good signs of life, and Harley Reid is an important part of that. But, it might be the time to just slide him on over to a full-blown premium. Nat Fife needs to go, though.
I disagree. I think that Fife is the one you'd keep if you're keeping one of the pair of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was pointed out that before Nat Fife was the substitute against Richmond, He was He had a 3-round average of 98. I don't know if he'll get back to that, but I think the way that Fremantle are managing him is really quite smart, especially with 5-day and 6-day breaks, which probably is affecting his scoring more than anything else. Whereas Harley Reid, I think, relies on Elliot Yeo being in the team for him to be protected, for lack of a better word. And I think Yeo in the team improves Harley Reid's scoring. By how much, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think either Reid or Fife are keepers, though. I don't think they're players you should be planning on keeping long term. It's just a matter of which one you hold longer and then upgrade to the best option later down the track.
Elliot Yeo's a test for this week.
Yeah, they reckon he might be back, which is, I don't know, surprising for
Good for
Elliot.
Harley Reid.
Yeah, surprising for Elliot Yeo timelines, but I think there's a case to make for either Yeo or Reid being your swing guy, your M7, your M9, F7 by season's end. Like, I'll be looking at Fife for that role, but he's had that break where they had him as a sub. I think he gets a pretty clean run at it. Until the bye, Damo's making a face at me.
I love having you on the podcast, Patch, because you
Because
always
I'm
mix up
wrong?
names. You always mix up names.
What did I do?
You said Reid and Yo,
Oh, Reid and Fife.
but it felt like home.
Well, I mean, I called Chris Scott, Brad Scott earlier, and neither of you picked up on it. So, or at least if you did, you were polite enough not to say it.
No, because they're the same person.
Well, I mean, that's obvious, but they at least pretended to be different people.
Yeah, no, I didn't pick it up because they're the same person.
Right. Okay. Yeah. What was I saying? Fife. I think Fife is someone to hold. He's getting lots of, had lots of mid-time on the weekend. He just butchered it with the ball, which, you're going to do that sometimes. I think he's a guy who's going to keep getting the run through the middle. That's the midfield mix they've gone with. And Damo, you can speak to it better than I can, but I think I think he's better as a hold, and Reid, playing stints forward, might get another rest soonish. Still looks a bit tired. And yeah, like West Coast are getting beaten up in the middle, and I'm not convinced Yo's going to fix him as much as we'd hope. I feel like Reid will also lose cash faster than like Fife is about to start regaining it, and I don't know, the cash direction feels better from Fife than from Reid.
So, I think the other issue is with Reid, by resting him, and West Coast should 100% take care of their prized asset. So this is purely selfish from a Supercoach point of view. I think resting him arrested a lot of his momentum that he had through those couple of weeks beforehand. So he's probably building back again, and I don't know how long it will take for him to get back to that confidence. And I mean, West Coast do have a bye coming up, so they might not need to rest him again until later in the season. But if he's going to be a momentum player or a confidence player, then that is also a bit of a red flag, a bit of a bit of like a bit of an issue for us to hold on to a Harley Reid. Whereas Nat Fife has gone through the rigors of his previous injury histories and knows how he needs to manage himself now, and so does Fremantle. So that becomes a little bit more. You can have a little bit more confidence in Nat Fife to potentially get to scoring 80s at, let's say, 80s again, whereas we don't know how long it will take for Harley Reid to get there.
Yeah.
Clarky, you've been quiet.
Nothing to add.
Fair enough. We'll move on to the next question.
I know when to let the big boys talk.
Also from Facebook, this one comes from Vinny. Is it time to move on both D'Ambrosio and Roberts and rely on this second tier of kids to provide cover? And then he says D'Ambrosio and Roberts both play regularly and are capable of producing decent scores every 2 to 3 weeks. So basically what he's asking is, does he move on players that can possibly give him a decent score, and then get rookies who potentially won't play for very long, or does he hold on to these players?
Damn it, you're like the way you're upgrading your last 4 spots on field is real smart and real good, and I think is relevant to this particular question. Do you want to chat about that?
Sure. So
Throw the question back at you.
So I've got 4 rookies left on field that I want to upgrade. So I noticed that when I was doing my upgrades, I was replacing a rookie with a rookie, and then another rookie with a premium, meaning I wasn't really changing the amount of rookies that I had on my field.
Yeah, you just had like one less instead of you still had a bad rookie come in.
Correct.
On your field, despite the upgrade.
So I've now paired my rookies on my field with rookies on my bench. So
a buddy system. It's just a buddy system.
It's a buddy system, and I've kind of paired them based on their trajectory for money making. So like Jeremy Sharp and Jordan Sweet will be traded together to finish my midfield. Harley Reid and Hugo,
they have the same initials,
and potentially, I don't know. Hugo Garcia and Harley Reid are paired together to finish my forward line.
Yep.
They've got similar initials.
Yeah, very good.
Darcy Wilson and
please say Sam Darcy.
Darcy Jones. Hey, are paired together to also add someone to my forward line or my midfield, given the DPP.
Yep.
And then Sam Closey is paired with Josh Draper to finish my defense.
Oh, no.
So that replaces so that replaces rookies on my field with a premium and the rookies on my bench with other rookies. Now, obviously, the rookies I want to select for my bench, I still want them to have pretty good job security because I'll need that cover. But it means that my field is going to be finished before I have to worry about strengthening my bench.
I feel like I need to have a buddy system now.
Yeah. And that also means you're not relying on, because, we look at some of the rookies now and we're talking about, does the Breville have much job security? Like, can we trust Lockie Sullivan? You wouldn't want to trust any of them with an on-field role. And the way you're doing it is really smart in that you don't have to. Like, you've just got to, they're there to make some cash, and then we worry about picking up, if that's a 250k guy that's averaging 70 that's had a brief price plummet, and here's your bench cover, you can worry about that once your team's done, once we hit the buys, once we've got some extra trades to muck around with it. So I think that's a really good system, and you've articulated it really well as that's the safest way to do it. So yeah, to throw it back to the question, yes, D'Ambrosio and Roberts are probably guys you'd want to be moving out of your team, but probably not on the same week. And then likewise, if you're getting rid of like Harley Reid and Sam Darcy this week, you might not want to do both of them. You might want to instead do like a Harley Reid and someone like a Will Graham or a Hugo Garcia who's going to be on your bench, and you can trade them to another guy who's going to be on your bench. So I think you've done it very well there, Damo.
I kind of had a breakthrough moment when I worked out that I could do it, and I was like, this is going to finish my team. And
I'm the smartest man in the world.
These guys are both called Darcy.
That's how I felt for a brief moment on Sunday night. So,
and for a brief moment on Sunday night, Damo, you were the smartest man in the world. That said completely
such a
genuinely.
subtle drive-by.
It wasn't supposed to be a drive-by. I was trying to be genuine.
That's all of the questions for this week. Thank you to all those who submitted. Let's move on to let's do a different segment just quickly. So we don't usually do our tipping, but
Yay!
We will this week because Patch is here. So because Patch is here, we are going to do the tipping.
I love tipping. I love this tipping specifically. I don't love like footy tipping in your office comps, because there are only 2 options, And it's anyway. Let's just get into the tipping. We'll make it nice and quick and punchy.
Suns against the Cats, Thursday night at TIO Stadium. Who wins and by how much?
I'm tipping the Suns by about 20.
I'm tipping Geelong by about 3 goals.
That's interesting.
I'm tipping a draw.
Yay!
Yay!
I feel like I need to, bring in a clapping sound for that. Just a nice big audience cheer.
Get the golf clap.
A single clap.
On Friday night, the Swans take on Carlton. Absolute blockbuster game. Who wins this game?
Given it's at the SCG, I'm going to say Sydney by about 14 points.
Yeah, I'll go Sydney. Yeah, couple of goals. I'm with you there, Clarky.
Beautiful. Patch, what do you think?
I think it'll be the draw by 14 points.
Excellent.
Huh.
Excellent.
That makes you think, doesn't it? Doesn't it, listeners?
On Saturday, the early game is Collingwood against Adelaide or Kawana, as they are going by for the next couple of weeks for Sir Doug Nicholls round or Sir Doug Nicholls fortnight. Who wins this game?
I think it's going to be Collingwood because it's at the G. Adelaide don't play that well away from home or at home.
If you remember, the last time Adelaide played Collingwood at the MCG, it was Patch.
A draw.
Yep.
Did I set that up?
So Patch, will history repeat itself?
Draw.
I'm going for Collingwood in this one. The Giants and the Bulldogs face off at NG Stadium.
These guys hate each other too. Like it's proper. Like these guys
like
each other.
These guys do hate each other.
I've never blamed Toby Green for kicking that dude in the face. He probably did something.
Leave Toby alone.
Who do we think wins this one?
Giants.
Draw.
Very good.
Very good. I think people have got the point now. So if you do want to drop tipping, we can just like.
No, I think we need to just quickly breeze through it now.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Speed it up, Damo.
St Kilda against Fremantle or Yoroki against Walyalup. I'm obviously going to go with Walyalup.
Yep, Walyalup for me as well.
Draw.
Brisbane Lions against Richmond. Brisbane.
Richmond, no. Lions.
Draw.
Essendon against North Melbourne. Essendon.
Clarky, did you say North?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll kill you. It's going to be a draw, obviously. Which
Essendon have had too good for too long. I'll say it.
Which I mean, next game, please, Damo.
Port Adelaide or Yartapulti against Hawthorn.
Hawks.
I'll go for Port Adelaide. I'll go for Yartapulti.
I'm torn on this one, but like I think it'll like there's a clear winner here, and the winner is the draw.
Very, very good. And then West Coast against Melbourne or Walich Marawa against Nam.
Nam.
Khan the Nam. I just wanted to say that. I don't think they'll win. I don't think the Eagles will win either. I think it'll be a draw, but Khan the Nam is fun to say.
Very good. That's
what a tight round of football we're in for, everyone.
What a great round of football. Thanks.
Can't wait for the extra time debate next week.
Edge of your seat stuff there, right? Right, guys. Let's move on.
The Essendon edge of your seat, if you will.
I would like to thank you both for indulging me in my very silly bit.
Don't thank us. Thank the listeners who are still here.
Are they still here?
Who knows?
Hello.
Hello.
Round 10, captains, vice captains. Clarky, who is your vice captain this week?
My vice captain this week is, I'm pausing for the drum roll, Caleb Sarong against St Kilda.
Okay.
I don't respect
Patch.
St Kilda.
Patch.
Sorry, you're okay.
My vice captain is Luke Ryan against Euroke. Yep, what Clarky said, but with more defender spice just sprinkled on the top of that bread.
I don't own Luke Ryan, but I agree with Patch.
My vice captain is Luke Ryan. But I am very tempted to VC Matt Rowell and put the C on Luke Ryan.
That's also a very good option. Other VC options could include, I'd probably avoid the Sydney Carlton game. I think that'll be a little bit hotly contested.
In that game, if Mark Pitnet misses, Brodie Grundy?
Ooh.
Brodie, it's at the SCG. He likes the SCG.
He does like the SCG.
Maybe. I don't think I'm legally allowed to do it because every time I parade around Brodie Grundy, it ends badly. But
yeah, we've got Nick Dacos against Kuwana, Tom Green, Bontempelli's, nothing really outrageous there. Or take your pick from the Brisbane game, probably Dayne Zorko, boo,
or Lockie Neal.
Or Lockie Neal, much better. We like Lockie Neal. He seems a good boy.
Max against West Coast is going to score lots of points if he plays full-time ruck.
Probably the worst VC option you could have, though.
Oh, sorry, I thought we'd moved on to C options.
Yeah.
Hang on. Sorry,
I mean, I think he's a VC option. That's how confident I am. C option, Cohen Livingston.
Yeah, I was going to say C on Cohen Livingston.
And Patch, who is your captain going to be this week?
I'm probably Cohen Livingston, but at the moment it's on Max Gawn.
Clarky?
At the moment on Max Gawn, but Zach Merritt tempts me greatly.
For me, it is on Max Gawn, but like I said, could move to Luke Ryan if I change my VC.
Yeah. Other options probably include Zach Merritt, as I said, Zach Butterboy against Hawthorn, but the potential for a tag's there. But Rosie might be back, so maybe he cops it, or the horny one himself.
Thanks, BT.
You son of a bitch. I think that covers it. I think we did it.
Yeah, that covers the captains this week, and that's it for this episode of the Footy Mailbag.
Yay!
Patch, thank you for joining in on the mailbag this week. Where can people find you?
On the official Supercoach podcast. I keep getting stuff plugged on Code Sports. I keep writing words for Code Sports, and they keep publishing them, so they haven't told me to go away yet. So you can do that, subscribe to Supercoach Gold, all of that fun stuff, because it helps me buy bread each week. So also good content. But yes, also I'm on Twitter at Patch2TheMax if you want to yell at me there about how draws are great. We can hang out sometime.
Yeah. Every time a draw happens, just remember Patch gets his wings. Only briefly, though, before he crashes back to Earth like Icarus.
I fly too close to the sun, and the sun being a draw. Which is what happened on Anzac Day. Oh, that was just trapped in a cube of emotion. That was.
Football was dead to you briefly.
No, it had never felt more alive, Clarky. It had never been scarier.
Clarky, thank you again.
Always a pleasure, Damo. You can also find me on Falcon Footy Pod. That's my other football adjacent podcast that contains much less coherent content than this, but is equally as good.
Wasn't the last 20 minutes of this week's episode just you all making funny noises?
It was definitely Leckdog not knowing the names of any Bluey characters and improvising some names that absolutely made me so I laughed so hard that I felt sick, and that has never happened to me before. But it broke me as a human, and it's a very good episode. And my beloved co-host Jesse and Chris, we have a good time over there.
If you haven't given us a rating on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps new listeners find us.
5
Make
stars,
sure
baby.
make sure you check out Supercoach rings at supercoachchampion.com for a Super Bowl style ring for your league winner. And make sure to visit our brand new website, thefootymailbag.net. Head over there for links to our social media, our t-shirt if you want to buy it, our Google form for listeners who don't have social media and want to get involved. Thefootymailbag.net is the website you need to head to. Head over there and take a look.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, I think the
thanks for
real
coming.
draw is the friends that we made along the way. And that really makes you think, guys. Doesn't it?
Well, thanks for listening. We'll talk next time.
Love you. Bye.